What's up, guys? So today, we've all talked about the Cold War, World War II, which is directly right before the Cold War, but not a lot of people have talked about what happened after the Cold War. All right, so let's do a little recap. All right, NATO is still around. The Warsaw Pact, along with the Soviet Union, collapsed because they split into 21 different republics because Khrushchev, he tried to reform the nation. Right? He was like, okay, let's just try and just keep the Soviet Union alive, and I failed. Because he's trying to, keep it as one nation, but more market-based. But, well, that obviously failed because Russia and 24 other smaller nations split out from the Soviet Union. Now, post Cold War, not a lot of conflict specifically happened, but, because of the United Nations and stuff, even though the United Nations is sounded useless, but there were conflicts, right? Peace doesn't last forever. So one of the most well-known fought wars during was it the after the Cold War is the War of Terror. All right, which is after 2001, 9/11 stuff, which is a decade after the end of the Cold War. So what happened is Twin Towers, 2001. All right, a bunch of Iraqi Iraqi hijackers. They hijacked the plane, even though they're supported by a bunch of other people from other countries, and they crashed the planes into the Twin Towers, killing hundreds of people. Right? It was a national tragedy. So America being very pissed because there are two things you don't touch: America itself and their boats. All right. So they invaded Iraq, which is leads the war of Iraq, and lots of soldiers actually got deployed to Iraq, but not too many died. Right. The war only lasted a couple years, which is thankful. All right. So after the war on terror, there was obviously smaller conflicts, all right, which I will not get into. All right, obviously the Pakistani and the Indian War, okay, I'm not gonna talk about the Egyptian-Israeli War because that happened during that time. Another war, which is very recent actually, two wars: Russia-Ukrainian War, which happens, of course, Russia and Ukraine. Russia, which was under the leadership of Putin, all right, Vladimir Putin, you've heard of him, the guy with the walking meme and stuff. So he wanted to invade Ukraine to gain more land and also get back the Crimean Peninsula, all right. You don't know, it's this little bottom area of Ukraine, and well, that's basically the peninsula, all right. You can gain access to the Ural Sea and then the Mediterranean Ocean, which is it's a huge trading thing. And first they were like, "Hey Ukraine, can you give it to us?" Because originally, when Ukraine was still a communist puppet state under the Soviet Union, they allowed it to have Crimea. But Crimeans, they didn't really care. I mean, either way, they were still communists anyway. So Ukraine refused. Russia insisted again. Ukraine also refused, and then led to a full-out war. Right? They captured Crimea, and then they started walking into East Ukraine. All right. So yeah, Ukraine has done not a good job protecting it in the first few years, but well, thank God, they started protecting themselves better. However, I think it's just a stupid thing. All right. Like, why you just split Crimea? That's the point. All right. A lot of people want peace. All right. A lot of people want Russia to win. A lot of people want Ukraine to win. It's confusing. All right. War is bad. Never like war. Another conflict that has recently happened, which actually happened in 2023 or 2024, you want to think about it, is the war of Iran. All right. Between the USA, Israel, and Iran. All right. So Iran blocked one of them was it the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is this little area with what is it? The Middle East and the Arabian Peninsula. Right, this is a little gap of water, and well, that's the only way you can get out from the Suez Canal in Egypt. All right, yeah, go through there and through the Hormuz Strait. However, Iran blockaded it. All right, you aren't going past here anymore. That's what they're trying to say. So obviously, Israel declare, obviously, because Israel depends on trade, so they're like, oh hell no, so they declare war on Iran. And they also call on their biggest ally, the United States, to help them. So of course Trump agreed because for some reason, what is Israel so important for? Anyways, let's get back to the point. All right, no political views. So they start invading and attacking Iran. However, not a lot of territorial claims have been made because, well, obviously they're trying to just get them to stop blockade the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. has done blockaded square. They're blockading the blockade. Multiple ships have been destroyed. People have died. It's just terrible. All right. So there was also a school, and the U.S. bombed it, but Trump is denying everything. But well, who cares? That's just political. All right. So they also convinced Iran to basically sell them, give away all their, unfiltered, imperfect uranium for like a couple $billion. Iran agreed, and then just sold it back to Russia for triple the amount of money. So like they're making money out of their enemy, which is gotta suck. So yeah, it's very simple that peace doesn't last forever, and we should really appreciate the times we're in now before it gets bad. All right, so yeah, thank you for listening to what I've had to say, and goodbye. See you next time. And also, please subscribe to my channel. These videos do take a lot of time, and I would appreciate it.